Owen's giggling. Welcome to the Backdoor Cut. We finally put it together. And welcome to all of our listeners as well. So, episode 1, we're going to give a brief overview of the idea and we're going to dive deep into the lives of the two lads and how the GAA has affected their lives. But first off, how are we doing? How are we doing this morning and how excited are you to get going with this?
I got the nod there. So, good to be here. Good to finally put the wheels in motion. Yeah, buzzing for it. Looking forward to it. I think when you first floated the idea, it was like, yep, let's do it. I'm sure Darragh was probably the same. But excited for it. Sweaty palms here, but we'll be grand.
Yeah, same as that. I suppose something a wee bit different. Something that I suppose there's people who enjoy social media and seeing what we post mightn't have expected something like this. And I suppose it's something that we're kind of planning for further down the line as well when it comes to in season. It'll definitely be a wee bit different and something that me and Eoghan probably aren't really used to, and something most inter-county players definitely aren't used to. So yeah, actually I'm looking forward to it.
I think that's why it's such an exciting idea, is because it is something different. And I know I've been pushing the two of you for the last while to get the podcast and put it out there because that's how you get the feedback to get better at it. But potentially it wouldn't have happened if we didn't all jump on that call together, speak about it, and then realize like, oh no, there's something definitely here. And I suppose it was useful as well that I've had both of you on my podcast in the past and you've done multiple interviews yourselves. So podcasting isn't something that's going to be completely foreign to you, let's say. What have been your experiences with podcasts in the past been in relation to what makes a good podcast episode and what makes a not so good one?
I suppose you have to be open, like, and actually give your views for a podcast episode or whatever to be enjoyable to listen to. I suppose we kind of talked off air as well about inter-county GAA players and how they like to keep everything in-house, but no one wants to listen to someone just talk very briefly about everything. Kind of opening up that wee bit more, giving bigger insights into what we're actually doing off the pitch as well as on the pitch is going to be a bit more interesting for people to actually listen to. And I suppose that's going to be what's going to be different.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose it's avoiding the usual cliches. Like you see everyone after a match going, all about the team, great performance, we're really well drilled. When you were getting a tough battle, but nah, fuck that. I suppose like podcasting, the experience with podcasts been very positive. I always enjoy just having a good conversation, especially with yourself, Peter. But I'd say Darragh's been at the. He's been around the block here. He's going to bring the experience, but looking forward to it. And as we say, just trying to have chats that we would have offer, like honor, just being real people. Like you look at players and you think they're robots. I think I was chatting to you the last day, Peter. You might look at Instagram and follow your favorite player or whatever, and you might see one Instagram post every 3 months from them, and you're going, right, they must do absolutely nothing in between. So I suppose hopefully we can just have conversations amongst ourselves and even maybe guess down the line and realise that there's a lot more going on than just kicking a ball about the pitch or hitting the ball about the pitch and going to the gym. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Why do you think that culture of silence is so pervasive in the GAA? And then do you ever get, or have you ever got drawn into that as a result of it being the only way it has been since the dawn of time? The culture that we're talking about of don't tell anybody what we're doing in here because what we're doing in here is totally different to what everybody else is doing.
I feel like I can see why at one side of the coin, but I think as GAA players, we're amateur, we take it way too far. We seem to think like it's the winning and losing of games or championships when it's just not. Like, because you look at professional teams, you look at even rugby and other sports, they probably give a wee bit more away than we do, and we're amateur, they're professional. But I think like ego comes into it a wee bit as well within team setups, like worrying about what someone's going to think about you or say about you if you do say one thing that's potentially out of line. And like, it just matters so little realistically when you actually get onto the field, when you properly think about it. It's definitely taken too far within GAA circles. I think anyway.
100%, I'd agree. And definitely there are those conversations where people are going, listen, nothing goes outside these four walls, whatever. And like, obviously, up to a point, you can't give away certain stuff, but like, as you say, it's not what we're doing, what Fermanagh are doing. Like, I can guarantee it's probably very, very similar. Like it's not groundbreaking. I think a lot of people are trying to do the same things, but as you say, ego, people probably worrying about what other people are going to think or say. I suppose it's maybe like within the team as well, almost like an acceptance sort of thing. It's like if you're going against the grain and you're kind of like the outcast and you're going, right, he's a bit different. It's like, no, you have to fit in with the team. You have to be in there. You have to be, I think I said, like probably someone read in a book somewhere going, no, it's all about the team. It's all about this, the old cliche. So everyone has to be 100% focused on that. But like, you have a lot more going on outside. As you say, it's an amateur sport at the end of the day. You have a lot more, I'd like to think you have a lot more going on outside than just training and playing. Like, yeah.
We've spoken in the past about how it is understood, I suppose, by the vast majority of the squad that this is your career, this is your job, and you have to give away certain amounts of information. And then you've said to me that previously you would have been worried about disclosing certain things, and then you put it out there and you realize no one gives a shit. How much of you not being willing to give it away is down to what the group that you're in is going to say about you? And then how much of it is down to worrying about what Owen McCabe is going to say to Darren McGurn on the field, trying to get into his head come Ulster Championship?
Well, I'd be lying if I said that didn't come into your head. It's just human nature. Sledging on the field is it's always going to happen. But like, I've come to realise, like, that kind of abuse or that kind of mouthing that you do get on the pitch about social media, about what you're posting, like, if that's the worst thing you can say to me, I'm happy enough. Like, I'm absolutely delighted, to be honest. Like, if that's all. And like, I've been posting social media now for a couple of years, putting myself out there, whatever way you want to call it, and I've got very minimal, if any, like, abuse or anything on a field. So like, as I said, at the time when I was first starting out, it would have been like, right, I'm playing county football, no one else is really doing this. No one else is putting up videos of them talking shite on social media. So like, am I gonna get all this abuse when I hit the field? And after a couple of games, you realise you don't. So like, the risk to reward is, there's a lot more benefits to actually just going for it than there is drawbacks. Like,
you've said something different though. You said you have got sledged on the field for your social media presence.
Bits and pieces. Good teammate of Darragh's here. Give me a few lanes. Right?
He gives it to me.
You know who he's on.
But nah, he's good crack. Like, he's good crack. Like, he got it in front of me, the ball. He's going, fuck's sake, thought you were meant to be fast. But no, he's some crack. I think there was plenty said there both ways. Like, but no, I've got bits and pieces. Like, but to be fair, nothing massive. Like, it's just, you put it into perspective there. If that's the worst thing someone can say to you on the pitch, you're going, right, happy days. Like, I'm going all right. But got bits and pieces. Would have got like stuff from even own teammates. Like, most of it, bit of slagging, bit of crack. Like, but you would get the odd sort of, like, reining it in a wee bit here, and you're going, right, fair enough. There would have been a few times, definitely when I was younger, like, ego was getting the better of me, and I was putting up fucking more look at me sort of posts rather than actually, when they see the content now, it's right, and it's valuable, it's trying to help, it's trying to solve a problem, rather than just throwing up a post of me fucking with a ball going, look at me, yeah, in class. So
that's what I've been doing.
I've seen that 45 about 50 times.
Nah, lad, they're all different.
Yeah, different.
There's about 100 of them.
But then on the other side of the social media, both of you will know that when you do show an aspect of your personality, people get very intrigued by it. Like, probably us leaking, well, 2E leaking about the podcast today is going to gain a little interest because it's not your usual post. It's like, what are the lads doing? So how much of you giving away on social media is you giving away aspects of your personality versus aspects of your athlete, or of you as an athlete? Do you think that you split the two, or do you split the two in your mind when you're posting, or do you try to just give a full picture of who you are as a person on social media?
I would have tried to split them in the past. I would have wore different hats at different times. I would have been the athlete hat, the coach hat, the just Eoghan then as well, and tried to, depending on what I was doing or where I was at, I would have tried to be almost like different people nearly and have like a different outlook on things. But at the minute, it's just, it all sort of combines together. Playing football, coaching, like posting on social media are all things that I do rather than attaching my identity to them. So it was like, say between November and June, you're a county player, and then you're club player, and then in between you're going, right, I'm a coach, and it's just like you're trying to live up to these certain expectations that you're putting upon yourself, because you're looking at other people going, right, who's at the top of the game, what are they doing, right, I have to live like that to be at the top of the game. And then if you're going sort of all in one area, maybe one area is kind of falling away, and for me, I kind of got fed up with it and just sort of drained me a wee bit. So the more recently, when I've just kind of not took a step back, because I'm still training this hard, I'm still coaching, I'm still doing everything, I'm probably doing it to a better standard now. By taking that sort of step back of going, like, having all these different hats and just understanding that these are all things that I do, rather than actually being the athlete, the coach, it's just, I don't know, it's more freedom or something. It just feels, it doesn't take as much out of you. It's a lot more enjoyable as well. And I suppose the results of the back of it, in terms of performances, in terms of coaching, in terms of quality of coaching, is definitely improving as well. Like, so.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like, starting out, it would have been overthinking all these things. Like, oh, I need to get a bit of personality in here. Oh, then I need to start coaching. Then I need to start, just giving valuable, talking straight to a camera. But like, as he says, it all comes in and combines together. When you get more natural, you start to, find your feet online, I suppose. And like, I think you talked about it in your podcast with PD, just about like, trying to get your personality across in posts is important, because people are going to relate to the person as well as they relate to the actual coaching side of things, that you, like the content that you're putting out. So it's important to get that across. Yeah.
Do you find that challenging? Like, trying to just be yourself?
I think you always, like, there'll be certain things you go to do when you put up line and you're like, oh fuck, right, should I, like, I don't really want to put that up because it's putting across a right bit of my personality, but that's probably the stuff that you should be putting up.
Exactly.
So yeah, 100%. It is a bit challenging, because again, it comes back to the ego and what's he gonna say, what they're gonna think. But as time goes on and I've built myself or my page over on social media, like, I've become way more comfortable with just throwing something up and just closing the phone down and just not thinking about it.
100%. No, I felt that as well. Like, I'm even still trying to do it at the minute. Like I was saying the last day, Peter, that, even if something comes into my head and I go to post it and go, oh no, maybe I shouldn't have posted that. And then that's like, no, I need to post that, because it's the first document in my head. It's me being me. Yeah. Rather than trying to get, take something 10 different takes and trying to make it perfect. Like, just put it out. Like, so yeah, I suppose it comes with time as well. Like, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. So it's still something I'm trying to do, is just be more myself rather than what you think other people want to see. It's like, just do what you want to do, sort of thing. Like, so it's, yeah.
I've noticed that with the 2E, in terms of the language that you use in your posts over the last year, maybe not even in the last year, but in the last 6 months, has changed significantly. From watching your post, Darragh, you are talking to the camera like you're talking to a teammate a lot of the time. Like, there's no difference. There's a few expletives thrown in. There's use of, like, I'm going back to leaving our English here, but colloquial language. Like, if you don't want to be slow as wet week, essentially, then this is what you need to do. And then Eoghan, as you said there, in the past, maybe when you're putting up posts, it was like, okay, I'm going to say this so that nobody can pick any holes in it. But now you're just giving your opinion on things. Yeah. And that's when people see, like, I actually agree with that. He's making a lot of sense. I'm going to sign up for coaching or reach out to him and have a conversation. So by giving more of yourselves, it seems like you're getting more back out of it. And there's been very little drawbacks 100%. To what you've done, essentially, is what you're saying. So obviously you're interested then in doing more of that and giving a little bit more. And that's why we're all sitting here today. So in regards to the idea of the podcast, what do you think attracted you the most to the idea? And then what do you think is the most, like, disconcerting or putting you off as much as possible about the idea as well?
I don't even think there was anything that sort of put me off. I think when you first mentioned me, I was going, this sounds class. I'm all over it. What drew me towards it is like obviously all three of us know each other. Mav's at my strong point here, lads. It's the three of us sort of we all know each other. We're all doing very similar things. We'd all be chatting away on social media anyway. And whenever you have the chance to do something like this, something that hasn't been done before, something that we're talking about, something we enjoy. Like it doesn't feel like a chore at all. It's just like it was just one of those things when it was put to me. I was just going, "This is a fuck yes moment." That's like it just ticked all the boxes. I was going, "This just feels right." So yeah, there was no hesitation for me. Like I was going, "Yep, all over it. Sign me up."
I think again, referring back to your podcast about abundance and scarcity, like when we're thinking of each other and we're all in the one area and niche of GA athletes, we can sometimes think against each other just like subconsciously, like, like there's only so many athletes, but like as you said, how many athletes are playing GA? Like
a million.
We should all be like coming together and actually working together and bringing the level of GA within the country up should be our goal. Just that is it. And this only helps that, like.
Absolutely. And the other aspect of it is they're constantly, and I say the media are constantly giving out that we're not promoting the game enough. So how better to promote the game than from within inside it? Because if you look at what rugby are doing in terms of the Netflix documentary and the O2 Inside Line in England, they give away so much of what's done on the inside and that gets more eyes on it. Whereas if we're worried that football is dead, then maybe we need to market it a little bit better and get to know the athletes inside it rather than just have an idea that they're robots, like you said, on.
100%. There's nothing like, it just comes back to that being sort of hush-hush. Everything is very, but even you go on, I think Dublin do it very well. Like you go on, you see videos of them training and you're going, right, you can't see us anywhere in any other county. Like, and it reminds you nearly of like the All Blacks. Like when you see the All Blacks gym set up and you see them out in the pitch doing their stuff and you're going, this is class. I want to see more of this. And I know when I was 14, 15, 16, just going like I was trying to find all these things. You were copying what people were doing. You were going, oh, the All Blacks are doing that, so I must go in and do that. So I suppose, like as you said, you want to raise the standard of GAA. You want to raise the standard of GAA S&C as well. I know that's something that I'm, it's why I'm a coach at the end of the day. You want to raise the standard and have as much impact as possible. So if we can all of us are going to have different viewpoints and different opinions as well and different ways of going about things to get the same result. So people are going to take different things for what they like from each of us as well. Like, so yeah, only going to be a good thing.
Darragh, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's very similar views. Like, again, we shouldn't be looking at each other as individual coaches. I think it should be again just the wider picture of improving the level of everything, like across the board. And me and Eoghan being involved in county setups, being young, being, having came through underage setups as well ourselves, and probably me and Eoghan are probably two of the guys who probably why we're in jobs at the minute ourselves, because we at maybe 13, 14, we felt the need to go and get better and improve in all those areas to get to that next level. I know myself anyway, like that's why I did go out and search for all these things and answers and spend hours on YouTube looking up how to get faster in the gym for GA.
The classic.
Classic. Like, what do I do in the gym to get faster? Like,
never hit the pitch. It's always in the gym. It's the exact same.
Like
and look at the size as a result of that.
Watching Brian Keane videos for fucking days. Like,
absolutely. But that, then again, that was all that was being put out.
Yeah.
Whereas there is more of an abundance of information at the moment, but one of the problems that arises as a result of an abundance of information is people become awash with it. So they just drown in this information. They're like, who is correct? Well, to an extent, a lot of people are correct in their own way. This is my viewpoint on it. And I'm the one that's going to streamline your thinking and streamline your training to hopefully allow you to stick at something for longer than 2 weeks to see some sort of gain and return from it.
I think that's where underage, athletes, I suppose, coming up from 15 up to 20 are probably struggling a wee bit at the moment because they're seeing so much online. Like, they're seeing loads of information now. There's so much coming at them and they're just going, where do I start? Like how do I actually go about implementing this? And that's why working with someone one-to-one is the first step, realistically, because I know myself, when I was that age, I was looking at as social media started to grow and develop, there was more and more information coming, and it was just so much coming at you that it was nearly impossible to go and implement it. And that's probably the challenge now is for us as coaches, is just sticking with your guns and providing that bit of accountability and bringing lads' performance up a level just with your own methods, and sticking true to what your own coaching philosophies are. Because there's always going to be small bits of differences with each coach. They're all of course there is. But yeah,
100%. Yeah, definitely agree. You said as well, trying to working with someone one-to-one is probably the first step, and it's you can give all the free information. You can, I'd say, between the three of us, out of all the stuff we've posted, you could have 3 years worth of programs there. But it's right, how do you actually put it all together? When do you need to change this? How do you know that I'm actually getting the most out of that? I guarantee, if you look back at your most 10 recent posts, I'm sure you can put something together, but it's how to remove the guesswork, then not having that paralysis by analysis. Even myself, I still have a coach handing off everything, coach, nutrition, everything else, just sort of for me, tell me what to do. Otherwise I'll be sitting going, I'll do this, and then you go 2 weeks later, maybe I should be doing this, maybe I should be doing that, and you get in your own head. It's just hand it off, remove the guesswork, and just let someone else worry about it for me.
I think that's where younger athletes too don't realise, as me and you as coaches, we also have coaches, because that accountability aspect is massive. We could do it ourselves, but it's just we're gonna spend hours overthinking it, and trying to do one thing one week and then seeing something else and going with something else. But having a coach there just to you do it for me, I'll just turn up and I'll do it. It's just massive, for actual improving over a period of time.
We spoke about it as well in relation to speed coaching, because when you watch yourself sprint, no matter side on view, even if you know what you're looking at, you question in your head whether you're seeing what you're seeing. And then sometimes you might just
fucking wrecking the place.
Don't worry about it.
Who done that?
My son Darragh.
Obviously his wallet here, it's just a big fun. Fucking money coming out of it. There's notes flying about the place.
From the speed coach.
Start paying cash.
Yeah. But when you get someone else to look at you sprint, oftentimes they'll look at it and they'll see something completely different pretty much immediately. And even sometimes with your own athletes, because there is always the aspect of, I know this person and I think this is their problem and this has been their problem for a long time. And that's one of the reasons that I suppose you guys are going into the mentorship that you're going into now. I remember going over, and you'll probably see footage of it in the mentorship, and Alan putting video up and me seeing something different to what he was seeing, and then him being like, oh, actually, yeah, you're right. I haven't seen that before though, but you're correct. And that's because when I look at something, when you look at something, and when you look at something, we all see different things. Sure, there might be KPIs or common characteristics that are pretty much correct, but you can take something useful from just about anyone, and that's the value of outsourcing for information and for opinions to a coach, especially in the realm of speed and change of direction.
100%. I think you can have your own biases as well, and even from the first week in the mentorship, looking at, I think it was the second or third video, I was going through it, and it was that one, right, analyze this run right away, and I was right, picking it apart, and then I got to the end of it, it's analyze this run again after going through all this sort of different frameworks, and I was going, it's actually sweet. It's I was going, yes, there's a few wee things, but it's I'm overcomplicating. I'm trying to pick it apart and being too picky. Then I had a fella in the program the other day, he had a 9.46, and there's a few wee things he could have tweaked, but then based off the back of the mentor, I was going, is he doing himself any harm? He's going fast enough. I give him 1 or 2 wee cues. I'm like, listen, I don't want you to change an awful lot. I just want you to think about this and this. Okay, sweet. Rather than to feel like you have to be doing something as a coach. So sometimes the best thing you do is just give him 1 or 2 wee things and away you go, or even leave it. And if there's no harm being done, rule number 1, do no harm. If there's no major harm being done, crack on. Do you know what I mean?
And there is always something you can do to improve. If you hit a 9.46, then there is the possibility of hitting a 9.47. And
10, we're looking straight at 10.
Yeah, 10. I know we're looking at 10s, but
never going to 10 again.
Sometimes it's something very, very simple. I had a player this year, in a team I was coaching, and real front side, like real springy, real reactive, complete. You've gone through the footage now with Alan. So a real under rotator just stands up and tries to get the max speed straight away because that's his bias, that's his strength. So he was hitting about 9.2, 9.3. And then because in a team setting, you can't dive into the same level of detail that you can with an individual athlete, I had grouped them into buckets in terms of who was an under rotator and who was an over rotator. And just by giving them slightly different exercises, and I'm not saying this is cause and effect, but later in the season, he ran and I saw him running in the same fashion. And when he was making this sprint, it was in a game. And I was thinking, oh, he's not really projecting very much because that is his weakness. And then I looked at the max speed after the game and he hit 10.8.
Jesus,
10.8.
10.8. Now, I will preface that it was an 80-meter transition after a turnover. And this guy has been involved in an inter-county setup before. So he is a bit of an outlier. But at the same time, I was just thinking, wow, how much of that has just been down to my coaching and how much of that was down to just giving him a tiny bit of appropriate training stimulus and then just leaving him alone.
I think you're on the wrong field.
Yeah, I think if that was me, I'd be screenshotting that straight on Instagram. I have the blueprint.
I think that boy might have thrown his GPS.
Yeah, but that is the thing with Stat Sports GPS. And they're probably going to get onto us as well about this. Is from chatting with other coaches, they tend to be on the higher side in relation to the numbers that they spit out in terms of max speed. But as a coach, you'd rather them be on the higher side than the lower side because of the confidence it gives the athlete when they go out onto the pitch.
Start with player tech. Move them to Stat Sport.
Boom. That was one thing I found, like going from the hitting sort of real high numbers and then changing the device and just seeing the variance between the two. I think me and you had a conversation about it. And you were like, what sort of numbers are you hitting? I was like, haven't had about fucking 9 here in a good like about 3-4 months. It's like, what GPS are you using? I was like, that was the question. But definitely, as you say, confidence. Like, there's a lot to be said for confidence. You know, what makes you feel good. You know, if you're feeling good going into the game, you're feeling confident, you're feeling sharp. Like, great, happy days. You know, if there's anything you can do to improve performance on the pitch, and if confidence is a massive part of that, like if you're feeling good, like
placebo, I suppose.
Placebo, exactly.
But if you're confident and you think you're fast in your head because you ran like a 9.5 or a 10 or whatever, then when the ball is far away and there's a player closer to the ball than you're going to be more inclined to have the intent to hit that run because you're going to think in your head, I'm fast, I can hit a 10, I'm going to sprint past this fella and absolutely burn him. Whereas if you're only hitting less than 9, you're probably going to say, I'll get the next one, leave it.
I think it can be to your detriment to that at times. I have seen lads like bring their max speed to high 9s, and every time they get the ball, then they're trying to take on the man and burn them every single time. So what you do at that speed is also important. But again, like, confidence is everything when it comes to sport. Like, when you're feeling confident, you're feeling good, everything nearly works better on the pitch. So if seeing a 0.2 increase in your speed on a GPS week, like every month or so throughout a season, that's going to make a massive difference to how you feel as you progress through the season.
I'm gonna throw a spanner in the works here as well. Probably contradict myself, but even there's times where you hit a sprint and you feel unreal and you feel class and you feel fast, and then you're going, right, that's class, that's a 9.5, and you go and check and you're going, what the how's that the fucking name, or an 8 point something? But then you're just going, like, trying to detach yourself from the numbers as well. And I suppose it's a scenario and individual specific. Like, if you're coaching someone, you have to coach the person as well, rather than just looking at a number and going, you need to be hitting these numbers. If they come to you and they're saying, I've had people that are going, I'm feeling faster, I'm feeling sharper, like I'm out in front winning the ball, like I'm up and down the pitch flat out, but my numbers aren't really showing on the GPS. I was like, don't worry. I was like, are you performing well on the pitch? Are you getting the ball faster? Are you feeling fast? Are you feeling sharp? Yeah. Right. There we go. That's the goal. Like, keep the main thing. Yes, it's nice to see numbers there, but like, you know, if you're flying and you feel fast and you're sharp and you're beating men into the ball and taking men on and getting past them, like, I don't care what numbers you're hitting, really.
That's absolutely massive, and it's hard to get that across to your athletes at times, that it is about feel, and that if they are feeling good, then that's the goal. So many athletes get really caught up in numbers once they do get the GPS, because you've paid your money for GPS. You want to start seeing, and that is partly what it is. And then ego as well, like telling other people what you've hit. Not feel isn't good enough for a lot of people. And I found that myself in the past. Like every single sprint, you're running over the GPS and you're looking at it straight away, and it's 8.6, and you feel like you've ran a 10, and you're just like, what is going on? But even you're feeling really fast and sharp and powerful. So again, that should always be the goal, realistically. And then I suppose in game situations, kind of comparing week to week and seeing, was I getting to the ball first in that game or the other game, or was I a wee bit off the pace? You know yourself as well. And if you are putting in the hours, the speed work, you're structuring your week right, you're going to improve. So yeah, like it's not all about numbers.
It's what you do with that as well. Like you could hit a you could hit a 9.5 in a game, then you go, right, where did that actually occur? And then you look at it and go, right, we got turned over and had to make a fucking 90-yard big lane to try and stop a goal scoring.
That's usually always what it is.
Exactly. You pick the 13 and you just go like flat out. I think I can remember, I think it was like Donegal Walsh for Kerry. Jack McCaffrey, I think, was just going up, and I think Donegal Walsh, he just looked, he's like, right, he'll get to the 13, just put the head down, just went for it. Sure, he probably had a bit of 12 or something now, but that's the thing, like it's, if you're hitting the top speed and you're going, I've hit this top speed, it's like, right, well, what, you ran up and you get turned over, or you ran up and you lost the ball, or you were tracking back and they scored a goal, like, who cares, like, do you know what I mean?
I find it's the same with high speed running. In games with the county this year,
Headless running, like,
we would be like, games where we would have had a shocker and been turned over multiple times, our high speed running would have been huge, because we were just chasing our tails back towards our own goal constantly throughout the game. So like, context is key when it comes to looking at numbers on the GPS.
We would have had, there's been times in the past we had a big emphasis on it, and if you're not hitting these numbers, you're not playing. And you're sitting going like, right, I get up to a point you need to be hitting a certain number, but like, you're looking at people and you're going, right, they're hitting the number, great, but what have they done? Like, they're running about just getting, and then you're in your head in training. I remember in my head in training, I was going, right, I want to play here, I need to hit this number. So I was just running about sprinting like a madman, trying to hit my high speed distance, and then wasn't playing anyway. I was running to the ground, it was fried. That's when my hamstring problem started coming on, and they're still niggling at me. The
only number that matters at the end of the day is the one on the scoreboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then after that, what matters most is probably your KPIs in terms of your effectiveness, in terms of turnovers, tackles, how many possessions you had, how successful you were. And then after that is probably your physical metrics.
100%.
And two stories that spring to mind there from you guys talking about hitting numbers of high-speed running and metrics that are given to you, and if you're not hitting this, then you're not playing. One that Fergus Connolly tells of when he was with Bolton, and they lost 3-0 to United, and the sports scientist came into the dressing room and said, look at this, look how much high-speed running and distance we covered and all this. And Big Sam just goes, yeah, we were running around like headless chickens. Couldn't get a sniff of the ball. And then the other one is Man City had a similar thing when they just started getting the money. And I think it was Pablo Zabaleta. They were wondering why every time the ball went out of play, he'd sprint over to the far sideline and get a drink of water and then run back. And they were like, we'll leave a bottle of water on your side if you want. And he's like, no, it's fine. And he was doing it to get an extra sprint up so he could get his sprint distance up so he could play. And that aspect of coaching and using numbers in that way comes out of fear rather than abundance. If you don't hit this number, then you're not going to play. Whereas it's what are you doing on the ball? And two different players could play a very, very different style game. And I think that's fine. If David Clifford wants to stand out in the corner and fanny around for a while, not that he does now, but every time he gets on the ball, he gets a score. Leave him at it. It's the same as Messi in football. Like, just do what works for you.
100%. It's like, even when you do look at your team and you have, say, for example, there is a target that boys have to hit, you're going to have those outliers that never hit it, but you're just going, like, I can't even argue. Like, you just have them freaks. But then it's like, if you had 15 of those, you'd be great. But like, you know yourself, I think everyone knows within a team, probably the classic underage one, sure, he'll not show up, he'll not train, and he'll still start. Like one of them ones, just the natural talents at that age. But it's even the same at senior level. Like, you know that even if boys aren't hitting certain numbers, but they're still getting you 1-5 a game, like you're throwing them in there. Like,
yeah, 100%. I think it's, when it comes to GPS, I think it's starting to, we kind of seen a phase where it was really important, and it was nearly the main thing for a while. It was crazy, but I think we're starting to come back down now, and coaches and teams are starting to realize that it doesn't correlate with performance. It maybe very, very slightly,
loosely.
Certain players, you'd be like, right, he's a workhorse. You know, certain days you might have been tired, you might have been fatigued, prep wasn't right, wasn't able to do the same work. Someone like David Clifford, there's just no way you can look at a GPS after a game and determine whether he's played well or not. Do you know what I mean?
I think the higher up you go, the less of importance it is.
Yeah.
Whereas, as in terms of level, because I know from looking at data of club teams, sometimes it's the opposite in the club game, that when the high speed running and sprint distance is up, it's positively correlated with win-loss or likelihood of win-loss, which is I was actually surprised by, because commonly at a higher level of the game, if your high-speed running or your sprint distance is really, really high and higher than the opposition, you're more likely that you're out of position. That's why you're running, you're chasing.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to the difference between an inter-county player and a club player, really.
Yeah.
And probably our own bias as S&C coaches is probably, well, sure, why would you not just run more and give yourself a better chance of getting on the ball rather than running less and conserving energy?
Thing, with the rise in S&C coaches and their importance within setups, that I think that's why that started to correlate upwards, like, as in it was so important for such a period of time, because S&C coaches probably felt they were really important for periods of times. They needed something. Yeah, you kind of need some kind of something to show that you're doing your job well.
If you're not good at it.
Yeah. So you, as an S&C coach in inter-county setups, they probably need to be offering something
new,
more than just S&C.
See when you see the role of an S&C coach, like, we're maybe a bit different. Well, I suppose even yourself in your private, in your own business, maybe yes, you're looking at wee bits and pieces, but a lot of it is actually just coaching. Then seeing you look at you're probably seeing, you look at your S&C coach for the team. They're S&C coaches, they're nutritionists, they're data analysts, they're like planning sessions, they're psychologists. Like it's mental. Like and that's I was chatting to Brendan, our S&C coach, the other day, and he was pulling up all these spreadsheets and all these graphs and all. I was going, what the fuck's all this? He goes, seeing you don't hear from me and you think I'm not at training, or whenever you only see me at training, you think I go home and do nothing. This is what I'm doing. I'm going, fair enough, mate. You're not getting paid enough.
It is good crack from the perspective of somebody that has worked with teams. It is good fun diving into the weeds and being more than an S&C coach and wearing multiple hats. But by God, it's taxing as well.
I'd say so.
And it is a lot of work. But at some level, you have to decide whether you want to do that work or whether you don't. And it's something I've kind of toyed with and I've spoken about with you lads is, should I be just doing the online stuff and just doing the in-person individual? Will that fill my cup? And it's something that I'm going to test out and see if it works. But at the same time, I think I love the culture of a team setup and creating culture and going achieving something together and facilitating like players furthering themselves and getting better. So I wouldn't trade it, but I think in the past I've been too willing to accept multiple roles rather than just giving all to one team.
I think on the flip side of that, if you go fully in on your own and you run the business at the end of the day, you're going to start wearing multiple hats there anyway. Like you sign up to be a coach, but then you're doing marketing, you're doing sales, you're doing delivery, you're building systems, you're doing all the admin stuff behind the scenes until you get to a point where you can start handing that off and delegating to people. So when you first started going, I'll be a coach, I just go to the gym and I train and I put a few programs together, and then you're going, all right, I have to take payments, I have to do this, I have to chat to an accountant, I have to put post together, put different marketing materials together. how can I improve the system, right, and get more clients in? How can I handle these clients? And you just go all these different things. I think we were chatting the last day, like a lot recently, mine's has been very much business push. And then I was going, right, remember what your actual main role is. It's like you're an S&C coach first and foremost. So then that's when I ended up joining the mentorship. But it was very much like business for a good while there. But it just comes back to that idea. Like, I think in any job, you're going to have the bits of it that you love and you really enjoy doing and you get a kick out of. And I suppose the goal is trying to do as much of that as possible. But like, there's going to be stuff there that you don't maybe see initially that you maybe get not pulled or dragged into, but it just comes with the role. Yeah.
I think me and Owen's probably lucky in the fact that we're playing team sport at a county level. So like, for you to remove yourself from that team setting is going to be different. You might feel that void, whereas we're kind of already involved in it, both with club and with county as players.
But that's the opportunity cost that I chose.
Yeah.
In that I stopped playing to go pursue the coaching. And that's one of the reasons I'm probably stepping away.
Has that ever crossed your mind? Have you ever got to that point yet? No.
As in,
would you like step away from playing to go all in on coaching?
No. Not even slightly.
Class.
I haven't thought about it once, and I don't think I will. Depends obviously on the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, if a professional AFL team or something came calling in 10 years, you probably would, because you're that bit older. But 24, no, it hasn't even crossed my mind.
What about you, Owen?
It's come into my head a couple of times. Initially, I think before I got into county, coming sort of underage, before I got into the senior county panel, my thinking was when I was coaching in the gym, I was doing my online at the same time, and I was like, I don't think I could commit to county football just with the amount I'm coaching. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready to commit. And then got into county football and probably stopped coaching as much. And then I suppose, like, even recently, I was just going, I was like, I wonder, if you build something to like a massive scale, you're going, right, how can you kind of do both, and how can you do both? But because just listening to people or something comes into your head and you're going, you go all in one thing, and I think it was Tim Grover was saying, like, he was chatting about athletes. It's like when they're athletes, they're all in on athletes. If you're trying to be like the best athlete possible, like, you can't be the best in something else. But then I started challenging it, and I'm going, nah, well, why can't you just flip the script, and why can't you do both to a really high standard? Don't get me wrong, other areas are probably going to fall back then, but again, it's what you're getting yourself into and what you're signing up to. So it's crossed my mind, but I think I would be, I don't think I would actually put a pin on it. Like, I think it would be lost without actually playing football.
I think you have to have a life outside of what you're doing as well. Well, not that you have to. Some people won't, but I think Tim Grover probably should look at his number one athlete and the person that's put him on the pedestal in terms of Michael Jordan was pretty good at golf as well.
Yeah, and baseball.
and baseball. Yeah. And played a lot of golf.
And cards.
And he wasn't good at gambling, in fairness. But you have to have a life outside of what you're doing, and I think that's what allows you to be good at what you're doing, is switching off from time to time. At least for me anyway. I can't speak for everybody, but I have gone all in and burnt out from coaching because of going all in on it, because you don't ever switch off then. And then it's like you're doing too much, so you're doing nothing at all.
Yeah.
Because it's too much resistance, too much trying. Sometimes you need to try less. It's the same as speed coaching. Yeah. That sprint that you're talking about where you're like, oh, I ran so fast there. People commonly misinterpret effort for efficiency.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, as we've spoke about, when you're trying to get them to run faster, it's trying to get them to relax. Yeah. I had an athlete run a PB this year on a wicket run, precisely for the fact I reckon that he was relaxed when he was doing it. He wasn't thinking about how fast he was going. He was just trying to get over the hurdles so he didn't fall over himself.
I think efficiency is the key word when it comes to
anything.
That's anything. Yeah. Both like speed, conditioning. I've even tried to, incorporate it into that as well. Obviously outside of fitness, just in work even. But like when it comes to relate it back to speed, like if you go and watch the Olympic 100-meter sprint and you zoom in on each athlete, they look like the most relaxed athletes in the whole place. because that's the most efficient way to sprint, and then it becomes the fastest way to sprint over a period of time. But I think, again, you have to be prepared when it comes to speed to go backwards, to go forwards. So initially, when you're cleaning up technique and you're trying to become more efficient and relaxed and work on rhythm and coordination and timing, you may see yourself get a wee bit slower, but over time, the more you build that skill, the faster you're going to become. And that's something I found hard when I was first working on speed, like, again, related back to going and looking at the GPS and numbers and stuff. But I think it's something you have to just be prepared to deal with.
100%. That you said it there, going backwards to go forwards. I like to say go slow to go fast. And it's slowing it down, building that control, that competency, that consistency in movement, and then making that feel natural, and then start adding the speed on top of it. Right, can we do it a bit faster? Can we do it a bit faster? Can we do it a bit faster? So yeah, 100%.
We keep coming back to speed and we keep coming back to numbers on the GPS, but
we're obsessed with them. That's why.
Yeah, well, we have to be, I guess.
Sound good.
But in relation to pulling it back to you guys as athletes, earlier you touched on how you sign up to do one thing, but you don't realize all of the other things that are involved in it, and sometimes you get caught up in the other things.
Yeah.
Has that happened to you as a player, in that you have been, as a cornerback, thinking so much in terms of your effectiveness up the field that you've forgotten why you're an effective cornerback in the first place, where you've been like, well, actually, I need to just make tackles here and turn lads around? And has that happened to you as well, Darragh, in relation to the same question in the forward line?
Firstly, I don't identify as a cornerback. I'm still trying to make the great escape. But
You'd be a faster lad.
give you a run around.
True.
No, I think yes and no. So I think I've been at both ends of the scale. So when I first got put in, and I was going, like, I'm a cornerback, this is on sort of familiar territory, and you're just going, right, all my job is focused on this corner forward and just doing everything here. But I think as I've evolved more and got more comfortable with it, I started thinking, right, I need to get up the other end of the pitch and start putting him in the back foot, and trying to be more involved down that end. But then you can go, right, I'm spending too much time trying to go forward now, so trying to have both. So it's, there would have been times, not last year, I think last year I went solid enough. I was able to get up, I was balancing both pretty well. The year before, I was very defensive. It's because our fullback just started bombing forward, and I was left there in fullback the whole time going, what's going on? So I was very defensive minded then. I was looking around, and all sorts of space in front of me. I was going, this is a nightmare. So I was like, right, very negative sort of bias, going, right, what if something breaks down and what if something happens? I have to stay here. Whereas, again, I think it comes back to confidence in the work that was done over the winter, like the amount of conditioning we had done, how I was feeling getting into the year. I was going, I have the legs here to make a bomb forward and be able to get back. I suppose just trying to play with a bit more freedom as well. I think it was coming to enjoy it a bit more and taking the pressure off rather than hyping it up to be this massive thing. Like, just being calm and relaxed going into a game, and just sort of playing the game as you see it, like you would with club. I don't know if you ever experienced at county level, I would have hyped it up to be this big massive thing, and you start getting caught up in the story around the game rather than it's just another game. Like, you play with these players in training every week. Like, if you went and played against any of the opposition teams that you're playing against in your division, you'd back yourself to start in the team. So don't know why you hype it up to be this big massive thing. Again, it's the story around it. Probably ego and that coming into it too. But whereas when you go out and play for the club, you just play with that freedom. And not to say that you don't enjoy the club, you don't love the club as much, you don't rate the club as much, you do. But because you've done it for so long, it's comfortable, it's natural. Like, you get used to that feeling. So to bring it back to your point, I've been in both ends of the spectrum, but I think the more comfortable you get and the more you evolve as a player over time, you can kind of find that blend of both. Yeah.
I think it comes back to fear when it comes to inter-county and club. You go to inter-county, you probably have that fear of not making mistakes, not doing things wrong. There's bigger consequences on the line. Again, it comes back to maybe video sessions, those sort of things where, play safe, do your job. Comes to club, you're like, right, I'm probably one of the main players here, have a bit more freedom to make mistakes, play without fear, whereas that should nearly be the mindset and that you're going out with in all games, both in inter-county and club.
That's what's probably got you to the county as well.
100%.
And then you stop doing what's got you there.
Yeah. Like if you think back, well, when I think back anyway, to when I was playing my best football for club, when 18, 19, 20, like just not giving a fuck. Just going out and, you know, whoever's on you, that's just what it is. You just go and you play. Kicking points, probably you wouldn't have even thought about taking on ever in county games. And again, it's balance. Of course, there's balance. You can't just go out in a county game and start dinging shots from 40 yards. I've learned that lesson pretty hard in my early days.
Depends who you are.
Still hasn't stopped doing it.
You find yourself in the bench fierce quick. I suppose as well, to relate back to what we were talking about earlier, with you were asking Eoghan about, you know, has he kind of lost balance between the defensive and the forward? As a forward, I don't think I've ever fallen into the trap where I've started to overthink defensive
turnovers,
things.
tackles.
Like no, and people will tell you that.
As if people that you play with.
Yeah. Although in setups in the past, I've had to change my focus to that side of things, and it's just not as enjoyable at all. Running back,
speaking like a true forward,
standing on your 65, waiting for the opposition to come, 15 behind the ball. You know, just nearly the least enjoyable thing ever for a full forward. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever lost that balance between forward and defensive.
Has it ever occurred where you've played a game and you've played good defensively in terms of stopping backs down the field? Maybe not now.
Nope.
But you didn't score what you should have, or you didn't convert chances, and then the coach has said to you, well, you need to be converting more. Whereas you're thinking in your head, well, you asked me to be more active defensively, and I did that. Because I've worked with a couple of athletes, one in particular, who said that he feels he's being more effective as a forward when he's actually getting involved in making turnovers and tackles. And then if he's missing chances, then how he refocuses and reframes it is, okay, next job, just win the ball back and I'll get another chance.
I think there's a difference in what I was talking about there, as in certain setups it's turn and run back, whereas
how you're setting up,
like defending as a forward in the forward line 100% correlates to you going forward as well. If I'm reacting poorly when the ball is getting turned over, or you're not working hard at slowing the ball up when a team is breaking out from defense, then I'm more than likely off it mindset wise. I'm more than likely going to be a wee bit off it, going forward with the ball. So 100% your work rate going the opposite way in the forward line adds to your performance, I suppose, going the other way. It just gives you that bit of a lift and that bit of hunger and aggression both ways, and it shows as well to your teammates and your coach that you're in it for the team. I suppose I think with forwards a lot of the time it can be just all about me. I'm only focused on putting the ball over the bar, but I think the way Gaelic football has went in the last number of years, the amount of athleticism coming from deep in other teams is huge. So you have to have that. You have to bring that bit of work rate coming out from the forward line.
And then in relation to the same question, do you ever think when things aren't going your way down the field that you're thinking, okay, well, if I get up and get a score, then it'll look a bit better on the score sheet afterwards?
I don't score too many, so it doesn't happen too often. But no, I suppose there was one, probably the Armagh game this year in the championship, kicked a nice point. I need to start posting that on Instagram, hopefully get a few more followers on the go. Kicked a nice point there, but then second half, couldn't hand pass the ball. Literally went to give a hand pass and it rolled along the ground and they got a score out of it. And I was just going, what even happened there? But I think the point maybe
spoken like a true quarterback there.
The point kind of overshadowed it a wee bit.
Went your head.
Exactly. Didn't know what to do. But no, I think again it's that you're trying to flip the switch in terms of right, what's my role here, and you're trying to understand what's a good performance for me if I'm playing cornerback compared to if I'm playing half forward or if I'm playing wing back. You nearly enjoy, it's sad I'm saying this, you nearly enjoy getting turnovers and getting, when a ball's put in and you get the break and maybe you get a tackle on. And don't get me wrong, class, you feel your skill improving with time and being able to get tackles and the time of the tackles. Like, it's enjoyable, but you know, I'd definitely rather be up the other end spraying passes and trying to hit dingers like outside of the boot. But no, it's, you do, like, listen, when it comes back to the end of the day, it's like, what's your role for the team? What's your, like, that's one thing I had to wrap my head around. As you said, maybe coming from the club, you're one of the key players in the club. Whereas you go to a kitty setup, everyone's the key player for the club, and you have to have that trust in the players around you to know that I don't need to go and do anything massively special here. I just need to do my job, and hopefully everyone else kind of does their job, and it'll all sort of come together. Don't get me wrong. Hopefully you have the odd moment of brilliance or flow, like, but by and large, you just need to look after yourself and look after your own performance, and hopefully the rest will sort of fall into place, like, without being too cliched there.
But in terms of the shock and the realization when you move from big fish in the small pond to big fish in the big pond of inter-county setup, what's that like as a young player when you go in and you realize, oh, everybody here is unreal. I'm not standing out anymore. I probably need to work a little bit harder or do a little bit extra to get to that level.
I think you know what you're going into. Do you know, as a young lad, as whatever it is, 19, 20, you're expecting a massive jump before you go in. So for me anyway, I remember I knew, like, I was going in at Rory Gallagher's second year. I had heard everything and anything that was going on the year before in terms of the intensity of training. They got to an Ulster final, so like I was expecting huge, like, intensity and quality of training, which there was, like, huge intensity. So it was a shock. But like at that age, you're just so hungry and you just want to be involved so much that you'll do anything anyway. So physically would have been in good enough shape going in, was able to hold my own in terms of that side of things. But then it was just about skill level and getting yourself up to the actual intensity of games and trainings, and that was a shock, 100%. Like, I remember my first one or two games, like, thinking, how am I going to do this? Like, and then I've had this conversation with a few of the other inter-county lads in the Fermanagh setup. Like, as the years have gone on, you just feel so much more comfortable in that environment. Whereas in your first year, you're like, you feel so out of your depth at times, and it just takes that time. And obviously, some players will be different.
Yeah, there's a few similarities there, but I found, like, I think whenever I first went in, I was 19. I think you must have been you were 18, maybe you went first in.
No, I was 19.
2019, or you were 19?
No, I was 19. Yeah.
Because I remember seeing you playing, and I was going, fuck, he's doing that, and I was like, just trying to kind of get in, and I thought at the time I was the fucking best thing in the world. Like, my ego was running wild. So I didn't give it the attention or the energy it sort of deserved, and I spoke about this before a few times, and I felt off the pace, and just I don't know, I felt like I was more trying to fit in with the team rather than, like, just doing what I was there to do, and wouldn't have played for Antrim as I would have played on the club, and done the same sort of, like, I was trying to just kind of keep it real simple. Like, I remember I made my league debut against Darragh in the National League, Division 4, back when Darragh were in Division 4. And every single play I had, bar one, went either sideways or backwards. I think I made one kick pass forward the whole game, and I got whipped off after 40 minutes anyway, just playing very, very safe, just going, right, just hand pass it off, pass backwards, my job's done. Whereas club, you would have been like, right, try and break a line here, try and get up, link the play.
Which is why you were probably in there in the first place.
Exactly. And then it was kind of just, I don't know, I took a step back then for 2 years, and during that time I was kind of like, right, whenever I did get back in, I was kind of going, oh, am I up to that standard? Am I up to scratch? I've had 2 years out, sort of thing. And felt like I had to earn my way back in. Probably a lesson from the last time, but found just gradually over time, just did sort of build myself back into it. Like, and as you said, the more you're in that environment and the more you're there and the more you're in different scenarios, you learn from them, you get more comfortable to them. And yeah, you adapt over time. Like, so definitely just year on year, you're trying to evolve, like, and you see that evolution.
So what would be both of your one piece of advice you could give to a young player stepping into any setup? Because there is a correlation or a similarity between what you're talking about there and stepping up a level, be that stepping up from minor into senior, or even junior to intermediate or intermediate to senior, what would be your piece of advice going into a new setup and feeling a bit lost in there? What would you do better this time around rather than when you went in first?
I'd say don't set massive limitations in yourself. Kind of explore your performance and see first of all where you are. You'll figure it out yourself anyway. Again, I would have went in with a lot of fear, and fear can be a good thing at times. So you're not doing extremely stupid things when you first go in, but I explore and just don't set limits probably on myself is what I was probably doing. Holding my, as Eoghan says, playing the ball safe all the time. To an extent, that might be a decent thing to do, but I think you need to take some form of risk when you first go into a setup, and just find your feet that way.
Yeah, I was having a deep think there, trying to think what to say, but I suppose you said there, back yourself basically. Like, if you're there, you're good enough to be there. But then also understanding, having a bit of awareness to be able to look at where you are now and look at maybe where you need to be from a physical standpoint, skill standpoint, and just understanding what that sort of setup's like and what maybe the commitment is going to be, and probably just not rushing it either. Like, just understanding what the gap is, working on that, and I suppose just having patience long term, but then in the short term doing all the wee tasks that you need to be doing to get to where you need to be.
I think it comes down to, again, just like, what can you control at that age, and just take care of that, and then go out and play with as minimal fear as you can. That's all you really can do when you break it down. So yeah.
I was going to say that came into my head. Let's say all you can control, or all you can focus on or all you can worry about is what you can actually control. So like it's that sort of, when you see what the gap is, you understand what's in your control, whether it's conditioning, whether it's getting the body up to standard, putting on size, dropping body, like whatever it is. Focusing on that, focusing on those wee small steps, and then just applying yourself as best you can to get out what you want to get out of it.
Yeah, trying to have no reasons for, like, I suppose players come to me a lot and say, I'm not playing, he's not playing me, what do I do? And I'm like, given no reason to not play you. Yeah. So like, are you as conditioned as you can be? Probably not. Is your body composition where it could be? Probably not. Strength, speed, it comes back to all those things and not overthinking it.
Yeah.
I think that's a class message to end there.
Don't overthink it.
First podcast episode of the Backdoor Cut. So I hope there's some value in there for any of our listeners, but really excited to put our first episode together and glad that we've got through it and had a fantastic conversation. So thanks for being here, lads.
Yeah, appreciate it. Enjoyed that.
Cheers, Peter.
Looking forward to a long career and behind the mic.
Deadly.
Bros.